Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. So today's video is going to be on how I sculpt my eyebrows. So I get a lot of comments on social media and YouTube on my eyebrows, so I thought I'd show you an in-depth tutorial on how I sculpt them out. Okay, so I've only got my base on today, and that's because after I film this eyebrow routine, I'm going to go on and film a makeup tutorial / first impression on the new Makeup Revolution Fortune Favours the Brave palette. And because I've got loads of other Makeup Revolution products, I thought I would use those to bronze, contour, highlight, that kind of thing. So that's why I've only got my foundation on. Okay, so moving on to the brows, I use a couple of different products, and the first one I use is the Illamasqua Brow Cake in the shade Thunder. My sister actually bought this when she was on her makeup course. I can't remember why she didn't quite like it. I think the colour might have been slightly off or something like that. So she gave it to me, and I thank her very much that she did, because this is now the only thing that I use to at least outline my brows. This is an amazing product because it is very pigmented and it also sticks to your brows. I find that some powders are basically very powdery and you can't achieve that really crisp line, which is what personally I like for my brows. I think I did have this when I was brunette, so that is obviously why the colour is a lot darker than my hair. But it matches okay when I've got some roots in, and I'm also thinking of buying a lighter version of this product because I love it that much. And then this is the brush that I use with that product. This is a Morphe brush. I'm not sure exactly what it is because my writing has rubbed off. I've used it that much, but I think it is the 1/8 angled brush. I know it is one of the smallest angled brow brushes, but it's not quite the smallest one. But this one is perfect if you do quite like that chiseled brow routine. I hate thick brow brushes, but this one is really nice and thin. And then the second product that I'm using at the moment to give a more natural, fuller brow look is the Soap & Glory Archery in the shade Hot Chocolate. So this is just a double-ended brow pencil. On the one end you have a little spoolie, which I could not live without in my brow routine now. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have one. And then this end is the little crayon pen pencil end. Okay, so to start with, I take the spoolie end of the brow archery and I'm just going to run this through the hairs of my brow. The first kind of 3/4 of my brow I brush upwards so you can see that line underneath. And then when I get to the last quarter down here, I sort of brush them across towards my hair and down on the top so they have a nice shape. Next, I'm going to go in with my Morphe angled brush and take a small amount, literally the tiniest amount of that Illamasqua Brow Cake. So I always outline my brows before I fill them in first. It'll probably be easier to show you than explain that. But I outline them in 4 stages. So the first stage, I fill in the inner half of the underneath of my brow. Then I outline the outer half of the underneath of my brow. Then I outline the upper outer half of my brow, and then the upper inner half of my brow, if that makes sense. So the first part, I start right at the underneath on the inside of my brow, and then draw a line from sort of the edge of my nose here to halfway into my brow. Next, I'm going to go ahead and outline the other half of the underneath of my brow. I'm going to start it from where we left the end of that line and draw all the way to the edge of my brow there. So I've just taken a little bit more product, and now I'm going to line the upper first half of my brow. But I'm going to start it slightly more in than where I did the first one. I'm probably going to start it around there, and that's because I fill in this part of the brow sort of sideways motions, and then when I get to the front, I flick it upwards so it has a more gradient natural effect from light to dark, so we don't have a super dark front of the brow, but you'll see that in a bit. So yeah, I'm just going to start on the top and slightly in, and then I'm just going to draw the line all the way to the centre of my brow again. And now I'm just going to fill in that last little bit. I'm going to arch it slightly in the centre and then just draw a line down to the bottom of my brow. And there we have the outline of my brow. If you get to this stage and your lines aren't completely straight, or you've sort of gone over a little bit, or it's not quite the shape that you want it, don't worry, because once I've filled it in the rest of my brow, I do go in with concealer just to clean up any areas that I sort of don't like, or I've overdone, or that kind of thing. So here comes the easy part of filling in the brow, which is where I take the pencil end of the Brow Archery by Soap & Glory, and I literally just fill in the brow. So to do this, I start from slightly in, where I started that top line, and I'm just going to make really small strokes all the way throughout my brow. I sort of run it back and forth so that when I brush my hairs out, I haven't got any bald spots. When I get to the outer point of my brow here, I don't tend to use the pencil because it is a bit thick for it, so instead I go in with the brush. Next, because I have drawn on the brow, it does look quite thick and blocky, I'm going to take the spoolie and I'm just going to brush the hairs through. And this just softens any kind of like darkness or kind of like thick patches that you've made when you've drawn the brow in. Next, I'm going to fill in the inner part of my brow, and to do that I'm going to go back to the brush and take a little bit more product. And then in this time, instead of using the brush on the side, I'm going to start to flick upwards. So I'm basically just going to place the brush right in that area, and I'm going to start at the lower line and flick upwards towards the top of the brow. If you get too heavy-handed, just take the spoolie and give it a really quick brush out. If you prefer the look of your brows not being quite as tidy, you can skip the next step of tidying them up with concealer, but I like to have nice kind of like crisp, tidy brows, so that is what I'm going to do now. So I'm just going to take a concealer shade that is close to my natural skin tone, and then I'm going to start at the inner corner and really gently and lightly just run it underneath my brows. And there we go, that is the under half of my brow, nice and tidied up. I don't tend to ever tidy up the top half of my brow. I prefer the underside to be more tidy, and then the top half can be a little bit bushier and not quite so tidy. But the shape of them today aren't quite how I like them. Just in the arch, it sort of goes a bit too sharp. So I'm just going to take a tiny bit of concealer and just round the top part of that arch off slightly. And then there is one final thing to do with my brows. My brows are so high maintenance, but that is just to use a brow gel, and this is the Rimmel Brow This Way in the shade medium brown. So I'm just going to start at the inner corner, brush up slightly, and then when I get to the arch, just follow the line of the brows down towards the end. Okay, and so there you can see how one eyebrow is before and after it is filled in. There's a massive difference. As you can see, I hardly have any eyebrow. They're very, very sparse, very, very thin. For some people, they might be too much, they might be too filled in, they might look really, really awful, but I personally really like them. Eyebrows make such a difference to your face. They can completely alter how your face looks, and so I always, always, always like to have them filled in. Okay, so there are both eyebrows filled in. As you can see, they are both slightly different. I always found this one looks slightly more on the natural side. Because my hairs are a lot sparser, this one looks a lot kind of like thicker and filled in. If you want your brows to look a similar way, or if you have a certain idea in mind of how you want your brows to look, just remember that a lot of the time it doesn't happen overnight. For a lot of people, brows take a lot of practice, especially me. When you look back at some of my old videos, they were absolutely horrendous. At the time, I thought they looked okay. Now I look back, I think they're terrible. In 20 years' time, I'll probably look back at these brows and think, oh my lord, why did I ever do that? But that is just makeup. It washes off at the end of the day and it doesn't matter. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and you want me to do sort of more how-to videos. Please subscribe to my channel if you aren't already to see more videos from me. I will leave a clickable link up here that will take you to my channel page, or click on that big red button below this video to subscribe. I will also link the makeup tutorial and impression of the Fortune Favours the Brave palette by Makeup Revolution that I was wearing at the start and the intro of this video in case you want to check it out. I will link that down below. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.